Hello. Welcome to Jarviskjir Narashiro Nights. We're a little bit frantic because Will literally just got in the door.
I literally just showed up like a minute ago. So everything's great. Everything's great.
I'm going to have to adjust.
Can I just say, I love what you put in Aaron's slot.
The funny thing is it was already there.
Yeah, that was his last time.
I just moved Aaron's camera and there it is. It's like one of Aaron's favorite jokes, so I had to keep it. Yeah, we nearly were gonna have like I tweeted that it was just gonna be Torum and Voss, and like I was all ready and it's all prepped, and then Will was like,
ruined it.
And then Will was like, "I'm in."
Yeah, Will, get out of here.
We like spent a big time before the stream like talking about, oh, it's really nice to have a 2-person session. They're really nice, you know. It's really...
Just fuck Will. Like, I love Will that he's not here. And then you're like, I'm here, guys.
The guy he was torturing just passed out too many times. He's like, I'm done. I'm going with these guys.
We are glad you're here.
We're glad to have him.
Just funny.
I'm so tired.
Well,
so
you got
tired.
4 more hours of work before you can flop. Okay. What the fuck happened last week? I don't even remember. Oh yeah.
I literally have a guy at sword point.
Oh, we're gonna wibbly wobbly past that.
We
Can you
captured
need to
that.
make a torturer's tools roll to just see how we did with that guy?
In a bit. Hold your horses.
I'm excited.
Can I very quickly say I would have? They had a crossbow or something. Was it a hand crossbow?
No, it was a regular short bow.
Oh.
I
know
so
the
last week
I will find one.
Yeah, it's also expensive. You're not gonna find them on 2-bit guards.
True.
You were investigating the break-in at a herbalist and stolen some stolen equipment. You wiggly wobbly investigatey wibbly wop did all that stuff. My brain isn't turned on either.
We captured the soul of the leader of that house.
You captured the soul of the leader of the house that stole it using troglodytes to steal it. And actually, one of the reasons why I'm glad that you're like, oh, can I do blank? Because while going through that troglodyte cave, you actually would have recovered the stolen goods. So we're actually going to skip to probably a couple of days later. You recovered that, the apparatus. You got everyone back, recovered, full rested. Will, if you want to give me a torture check, go ahead.
Sure.
The apparatus, when it was recovered, the House Tabletop's property, it's kind of like a big glass flask with these thin slates of some kind of magical stone held against the sides using metal apparatus. The guy you tortured, like I said, is a 2-bit guard. Really doesn't know a whole lot. The things that he ends up telling you are stuff you already know. Yeah, they use troglodytes to get the people out and about, and how they do that. But really, considering you killed the head of the house and several other house members, that house is probably Rip City. In fact, if any of you would have talked to Jericho, he's been having a lot of meetings about... there would have been talks with Eunice specifically about how there's rumors that you, as House Tabletop members, slaughtered the head of another house and broke into their territory, and he's trying to quench those rumors because that is incredibly... whether it's legal or not, that's not how it works in Narashiro. It is dishonorable to head into someone else's household and kill them.
To be fair, we weren't in the household when we killed him.
No, see, exactly. And that is definitely, like, you can hear through the walls, like, that argument being made. But you did break into their household. And that's just a...
After they attacked us.
But is it really his household after his soul has left?
It is the family household, and as a gilded family, it
Should get
is
back
still
stolen
gilded
goods.
territory. Yeah, so that's what he's been doing for the last couple of days, is lawyering, essentially.
This
which
poor
has left
guard, if he
you-
doesn't know anything, I'm just doing horrible, horrible things.
Yeah,
to
you're
him.
so over the last couple of days, you're just having fun, torturing. Una probably is doing a little bit more magical exploration and stuff like that. Voss, lots of time to meditate. And Torum, keeping guard. Today's session, it's quite early in the day, in the scheduled morning, when something a little strange happens. The slave Alyssa, one of the 3 slaves in the household, actually comes up to you, Torum, and where Torum stands, remember, Voss, you can pretty much hear and see everything Torum's doing, and will kind of wait for Torum to react in any way, which probably takes a little too long.
Yeah, he'd literally just like look and then just wait.
This is rather strange. You have a guest. This has never happened before. Yes. You.
He literally just stopped for a minute. Who?
A Miss Bieris? Would you like me to bring her inside?
Yes. Yes. Please do. He's on Yuna's door. Basically just gonna like ask you to what to do, but Yuna's not here.
Yuna ain't here. She way busy. So she will go off and head to the door. Again, just to say, Will, you can really come upstairs at any time you want. Remember, that door is no longer locked to the basement.
Mistakes. So many mistakes they've made.
Here's a thing. I can actually show you. I did a rough floor plan of the household. Just to pause for a sec. Because I don't usually do that. You'll see that there's no Josiah on the battle map
my
overlay
God.
because I haven't had time. But there's a rough battle map of there's the entrance hall where people meet. This is where Voss usually is, the kind of meeting room. Yuna's room, Jericho's room, kitchen, storerooms, and all the way down these stairs is the torture chamber. Because the torture chamber's like 2-3 floors down. And you don't own those floors. You just own the stairs down. So I just wanted to show that because, it's the same with like the Monday house. Like I have a very definite visual of how these things look. So I thought I'd do that real quick if that ever is important.
Gee, it's almost like we're starting turf wars, and this might become relevant at some point.
Who knows, right? Just wanted to show that real quick.
Very cool.
This is not right. Come on. All right. Yes, and I also have it in case you ever want to get into some fights in your house. But that would be dishonorable for someone to attack you in the house. Elisa goes off and heads into the entryway and brings Miss Bieris inside. She brings her into the meeting room, right through the entrance hall into the meeting room, living room, tea room, I imagine is what it's officially called, with Voss meditating in it. Miss Tanuma Bieris is a quite petite drow woman. She's wearing kind of a leather doublet that kind of covers as a bit like an apron as well. Bare arms, metal braces. Very noticeably, there is a kind of Roman numeral 5 tattooed on her hand, and her hair is tied up in a tight ponytail, and kind of above her eyes are a pair of delicate goggles that kind of resemble, they're kind of a teardrop shaped. And brimming from all the pockets are tools and things, and there's a tool belt of various similar tools. And she comes inside with a kind of something that might be familiar to, watching the way Yuna interacts with things. She's looking at everything as she's entering this place. Her eyes are very bright, a very bright sort of red, and look around with a keenness at everything, with a subtle smile on her lips. And she will kind of nod to the same, like, thank you very much. That will be all. Where is Torum? And then looks around and sees Voss there. It's like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I'll just pick my sword up off the ground. Voss just kind of stands up and says to her, "You were looking for Torum."
Yes, Miss Tanuma Bieris, Master Artificer by the placed by the Daimao of the Queendom. Just, it's a job. And she would kind of do like a two-handed handshake. It's not very strong.
Once I made sure that. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, I just give her a slight nod and look in the direction of Torum and say.
Once I made sure that Yuna's re-put it down the alarm, Torum will come down. Tanuma, hello.
She smiles quite widely and says, I wanted to come and check on you. And kind of wanted to look into Yuna's continued magical discoveries. But I suppose that'll have to wait. And she will kind of walk up and actually straight up, run hands over, metal platings and things like that. How's the faceplate dealing?
It's working quite nice, actually.
Slides the goggles down over her eyes while she's kind of examining you.
I sustained a bit of damage. She's going to hold up the arm that got, melted a bit. It's like, I ran into a mage.
Well, that is worrying. The effects of magic on your physiology are very... You must give me right up the sensation. You felt pain?
Yes. It was...
Kind of looks over at the boss. Felt pain.
It didn't slow me down, but it hurt.
It's just the fact that you're a construct that can feel something as mortal as pain is exceedingly incredible. To work out the secrets inside your shell, that would be something. But that damage, you keep taking damage like that, there won't be a shell to keep you in. If that's even how it works. I don't even know if that's how it works exactly.
Are you proposing that Torum has a soul?
Explicitly, yes, actually. I believe that to be the case, which I know is surprising and some might say heretical, but I believe it to be the case, which is why the fact that he's paired with Mr. Veskos is going to lead to some very interesting magical discoveries, I believe, at the very least.
She did mention that she wanted to make improvements in some way.
I've been thinking on that. Is she still collecting souls?
Yes. No hesitation. Yes.
I think I might be able to harness them into creating upgrades for you in the future. I've got some brilliant designs in my core workshop that I need to show you at some point. Not now, not today, but there's some.
I'm already finding these quite useful, and he shows the parts where he stores the bolts. It's made reloading in combat much easier.
Well, you can say what you want about deep dwarves, but they do not understand ranged combat. Might have built you to use a crossbow, but not efficiently. You aren't held up to the same flaws that a mortal in the same frame is. Although the 2 legs, 2 arms, head frame is inefficient, and my Arcano spiders do make some upgrades on that. They don't have souls. They don't have presence. They can't think for themselves. Although they are self-replicating.
Oh no.
That's a problem.
I also cannot wait to use these. And he's like obviously showing off the slot. I haven't been able to get my hands on any crossbows yet. Hand crossbows.
I might have one. Number 2 might have one. I'll have to ask.
And that would be when he looked down and sees like that. I'm assuming
5,
each of them
yeah.
have a different tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 5 then.
I'll go back and check after the meeting.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Who is this?
This is Vosnor. He is a samurai.
I
Very
noticed
talented.
that
Yeah.
part.
I will again just kind of bow to her and be like, my apologies for not introducing myself. You seemed to be in quite a hurry.
Well, that's the difficulty with having a brain that works far more efficiently than most people, is that you need to work quickly.
So it would seem.
I had the most delightful time, Voss.
She turns and immediately flips down the goggles, and they kind of, from tiny, tiny side slivers, little extra lenses slip and move and adjust, and she's like 15 feet away, and actually takes a step back, and is like,
Oh, hello.
and the goggles kind of
What's
click
your
and whir.
What's
This
your
is
name?
Rakath. He is a friend.
Pulls out the goggles.
They call me Rakath.
You
I
have
have
friends! You are
That he would
capable
actually
of
stop for a second that he said that and didn't realize. Like he's just stopped and just
capable of forming long-term attachments, not just as data, but as connections, emotional. Tanuma Beerus, Master Artificer, placed by the Daimao for the whole Queendom. Very important.
Pleasure to meet you.
And will actually handshake.
Yeah.
And kind of like lingers.
It's
and
a
like-
hearty handshake.
Like, because big hands, right? Will take
Yeah.
one of your hands in both hands and looks at it. And puts the goggles back down. And then up again.
Are you familiar?
No, I have no idea what you are.
Neither do I. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's definitely very interesting. I might want to take a skin sample.
Well, hold on one moment. And he'll pull out his torturer tools and just roll them out on the floor, take one of the scalpels, and just pop off one of the many pustulant
She
Pustulant lumps
She does
that he-
not skip a beat. Takes out like a vial.
and he just quickly wraps his hand where he removed the lump from. It was over his right or his left index knuckle, pardon me. It was a big one, and it was a little bit pussy.
oh.
Interestingly, I'm not discerning any type of disease or ailment. This is 100% natural.
Yes, unfortunately.
Perhaps an evolution of some kind of sentient disease.
Oh, or perhaps just some horribly ugly mother who birthed me.
Yes, given by the size of your cranium, birth must have been a difficult process.
Well, possibly, unless she was rather large as well.
You assume he was born.
That's a fair point. I could have just spawned. I have no
Yes,
idea.
well, when dealing with creatures like Torum, it is actually safe to assume that perhaps he was not born. His Torum most definitely was not.
Well,
I should
Torum
just
is
really.
absolute light.
That's why I'm here. I was asked to help assist on, really deciphering Torum and giving him some upgrades to his frame. And I just can't stop thinking about the concept of Duros. almost frustrating that the dwarves have an enhancement and technology that just cannot be... I cannot put it to paper. It cannot be quantified. And they are incredibly tight-lipped about it, unlike dwarves. Cannot really quite work out the secret of them. I have dealt with a occasional other Durosses, but Torum is a little bit more keen than most of them, I would say. I mean, I've done cognition tests, and Torum is sentient. Torum is not just a construct. And if you are considered his friends, that's something a construct cannot do. You cannot tell a construct to make friends, and this, I mean, you can, but then it
won't do it.
It won't do it properly. Yes,
right.
Something like friendship cannot be quantified, just in the same way that Torum cannot be quantified, which means you cannot tell it to be, which means you cannot. Someone did not just tell Torum to be. There is a process.
Now, if you were to inform me as to who I might talk to who might know such things, I'm sure I could find out for you.
Well, I do know the manufactories that make Duros. I've not been able to get such an entry. It's a place called Deep Spine Tower in the Dwarven Kingdoms.
Spine Tower. Well, that sounds like fun.
All sorts of secrets in that place. I must say, if I knew how to make the Duros, they would not be in such a clunky and heavy frame.
I find this to be adequate.
Well, it's much better now since I upgraded it, but beforehand it lacked all beauty altogether. It was finely crafted, credit where credit is due, but disgusting.
I like the changes.
You should have seen him before I got my hands on him. Dwarven craft.
If we were to find out just exactly what is required to make something like Torum, what would you be able to do with that knowledge?
I believe that Duros are not just a tool, but they could be a new form of life. If he has a soul. And I could create a new form of us.
If one has a soul, it had to come into existence somehow. A Duros would not simply form a soul on its own, as you say, it would simply be a construct. It had to have it, perhaps given, or perhaps it found it somehow. Perhaps they found a source of souls.
It's curious. That's one of the reasons why I was kind of hoping to see Univara while she was here. But her magic on containing and souls and learning from them, I do believe that a powerful enough soul might be able to be harnessed by a frame in a similar way that a blade might be able to harness the power within it. Which might be what they're doing. Of course, that really raises the question of where does a soul come from in the first place? We just simply always assume that when a mama and a father hate each other very much, that they just sort of a new one comes into being. But that is to look over the specifics of it. There is more to everything.
Well, if it were the choice of many here, I'm certain that the lower levels would certainly have enough souls to gather. And
yes, this is definitely a quantity over quality situation. When I make the next step, I will want a quality soul, and I have thoughts on that. You'll have to meet me at my core manufactory at some point, my laboratory.
The real question is, if we were able to attain this knowledge, what would we be given in return for such efforts?
Other than the joy of extracting it, of course. Sorry,
well,
I've had a delightful few days.
We have a prisoner.
Oh, he is a torturer! That explains the miasma blood humors I was sensing around him. Okay.
I like to, well, I prefer the term information acquisition specialist.
That does roll off the tongue.
It does, doesn't it? Yes. I think a rebranding is in order across the board.
She will actually have a very slight laugh. It is a bit of a nerd laugh. She kind of snorts a little bit.
Yeah.
And claps her hand together. I was like, well, money. The Dai Mao gives me quite the fortunes to do my research just to get the right amount of Vrystyle to make most of my constructs is quite expensive enough, even with all the discounts because of the various webs of allegiances, but collecting gemstones from the gnomes and such similar things. But the chance to evolve life in a new step, and really just forwards in science and arcana tech as it is, would be incredibly interesting. You know, I actually have I've heard rumors of something mentally capable, because that's really a question I've been having, right? Torum has a soul. That is definite. Does he have a mind? Is really a question I've been trying to work on. And he acts like he has all evidence would point to yes.
A soul, realistically, is a compass. Without a mind, a soul is useless.
Well, exactly. Yes, but I believe there are creatures that have one but not the other, and I believe there is one such in the city right now. Have you ever heard of a mind hawk?
No.
Horrible
you have
things.
My interest.
Creatures of mind but not soul. They are intelligent but not sapient, at least in current understandings. If I had the corpse of one, I'm sure much more understanding could have. I'm sure you could even figure quite some understanding. I'm sure you understand how brains work, being an information acquisitions expert. All the information is stored in the brain, aside from that which is stored in the heart.
Yes. Well, I would certainly find it fascinating. I must ask as well, no matter what we do for you in terms of gathering information, as it is my specialty, of course, I would ask that if you gather any information off of that lovely little lump that I gave you off of my hand, that you also pass that back to me, so that I can understand myself better.
Despite what the Daimao might say that, loose lips sink cities, I think that information should be shared as long as it's shared with the appropriate individuals, and you are clearly quite keen, and I am interested to see what you are. Sometimes when creatures are given their true knowledge of their true form, it triggers some sort of transformation. It's the case with lycanthropes. Now, I don't believe you are a lycanthrope unless you are a lycanthropic blobfish.
Not that I'm aware of. I've never been in the water, really, other than that one time we went down into the water where we dealt with the Kotoa. They had this delightful sticky substance. It's an adhesive, but I believe it was much stronger than some of the adhesives that we develop here. And
Torum will actually pull out the jar he still has.
Yes.
Goggles down.
Might I have that jar?
Sure, and I'll pass it over.
Thank you.
I'd
like to do more of these.
Most of my constructing does not use adhesives, more metal forging and arcana tech, but I have heard that the Koto do make it particularly strong. That's neither here nor there. Yes, I think finding out what you are, it is far less interesting than finding out the secrets of Torum. But
of course, entirely secondary. Torum is.
I am far more interested in metal than flesh.
That
always
is
have
completely
been
reasonable. Well, you and I will make a wonderful team then in information acquisitions. As you gather the information about the metal and I gather the information about the flesh.
While this is happening, Voss is just going to have one of the attendants in here just like putting his armor on him, basically. And I'll just look over to this person as they're doing this and just say, if all that is required of us is to slay this mind hawk or whatever other creatures you need slaying. That is certainly possible. But one thing you spoke of earlier was payment in the forms of currency, which is certainly valuable. However, I can acquire gold pieces from any one of the many houses in this sprawling city that require my services. Something you can give me, something that you can give House de Vescos that I cannot get from any of these other families and houses, is, as you said, one of those bonds of allegiance, as it were. If we are able to assist you in furthering your research, I would ask, at least for the time being, that you do not share that research beyond House de Vescos, if that is agreeable.
Well, I don't know if you've met the Daimao. She is a terrifying matriarch. To withhold information from her is quite impossible, but I do believe some secrets are always appropriate.
I would never ask you to withhold information against your master, merely that you do not make it readily available outside of these walls.
My private work is my private work, after all. Yes, that's absolutely fine. What we're going to be working with here is much more of a hobby than anything the Daimao has been dealing with. The occasional torture device, the occasional weapon of war, and she will be, she's perfectly, well, I wouldn't say happy.
You see, my fear is only that something holding this much potential would have the capabilities of potentially ruining other houses and tearing up the fabric of our society if it found its way into the wrong hands.
That is the sin of technology, my friend. So many people are idiots and think to claim it and use it for power. That's not what technology is for. It is for knowledge and ascension. Yes. Can't just simply let any old usurper have their hands on what I'm creating.
You mentioned some torture devices. I would ask if you have the opportunity.
Ooh, well, I can show you something quite brilliant. If we meet at my core workshop, my ego blossoms are state-of-the-art organic torture device. It's quite magnificent. The Daimao is very pleased on them, and
fascinating.
I will have to a first-hand examination at some point. Yes.
Well, I believe we can scrounge someone up for a few tests if you'd like.
Oh, they are already thoroughly tested and being put into practice. But
I'm glad to hear it.
Maybe 1 or 2 seeds might be an appropriate gift to an information acquisitions expert.
Lovely. Well, I see the rebranding is already going swimmingly.
Well, some people would simply call me a tinkerer. A master artificer is much more an appropriate phrase.
People are so strange, simplifying everything to its base. It's like they don't understand.
I don't understand why you would use one word when 10 words do a much better job.
Precisely.
If you are able to truly replicate Torum, or better yet, improve upon this design, you will surely go down in history as much more than a mere tinkerer. Now, where exactly would one find this Mindhawk?
Well, I've heard rumors of them being a beast you'd find in the south or the Underfey or dark places, but there's meant to be one hiding in a well in the north of the town, in some sort of residential area. Such a thing hard to get to by most creatures. They can fly, see, and live in hard to reach places.
I have a follow-up question. Do you need this corpse to be in pristine condition, or do you simply require the brain?
Well, yes. You get what you can, and I'm sure some knowledge can be found from it. If it's even is not the best condition, there's always something to be learned, even if the only thing we learn is that we need more.
Right.
And then you can do some research of your own here, and then maybe I can see about bringing you to my main workshop. I'll have to talk to the others about that.
Excellent. Well, that sounds delightful.
It does.
I very much appreciate you talking to me normally like this, and with intellect. Oh my goodness, it's so rare these days.
So many people are dullards.
It's just, honestly, the types of people that come through my dungeon. Absolutely absurd. Just the absolute idiocy that they think they're going to walk away with their
I
lives.
might want to hear your point of view. Well, I actually planning an extension to my dungeon. I'm going to knock through a wall and expand a whole area. Might
I recommend that instead of knocking through the wall, you take a portion of the wall out and in fact make a separate door that is hidden, so that when you bring someone through and into the other side, they cannot understand where they are. It is a room with nothing. There are no doors. They're just stuck in there. The psychological torture of it all. Sorry, I get carried away.
A existence-long tradition for artificers to make secret doors, yes.
I love the concept. If we have the opportunity here to expand, I would love to employ your knowledge and understanding of that type of thing.
Yes, well, if we have time. Time is at a premium. Even though I do work 480% more efficiently than most, than I used to years ago, it's still never enough time.
I understand. There's never enough hours in the day to gather information or to expand on knowledge in some way.
Never enough hours in the day. I have spent far too long here. I give you your task. If you could send a message to me, any old courier will be able to get a message to one of me.
Pleasure
good day.
to meet you.
Yes, pleasurous. And I will research. And good to meet you too. You're slow. Speak faster next time. Slow talking people tend to lower the intelligence in the room. Bye.
Goodbye. And he'll actually do a wave.
Yay.
Rakath will wave as well, following Torm's lead.
She will walk a bit of the wrong way, and then find the right way out.
She was an absolute delight.
Yes. Agreed.
Let's go.
Voss, I wanted to tell you all about today, though. I discovered a new method of torture, and I think you might appreciate it.
Dorm has walked off just to inform, letting you know what these guys are going to be doing for now while they discuss, and then come back.
Tell me on the road if you must.
I shall. We should go get our masks first, though. It has been over 24 hours.
That is true.
That's right. You've been so preoccupied.
Torturing.
Oh, actually, that's kind of on the way. So
let's swing by the old Happy Mask shop.
Yeah.
We happy few will travel through, and
I don't know whether I resent or embrace that remark. You can head on over to Koz's unmarked mask shop, and when you do, she kind of gives a bit of a smile and will actually reach out under the desk and bring out your masks, and will say, really, I think this artistry will be quite agreeable, and if it isn't, we can always make some adjustments. Your one, Sir Nor, is more standard, but I believe should be the appropriate for your standing. And the mask that she presents to you is full on the faceplate of like a dragon, It's not like it's like fully almost makes you look like a dragonborn if you really knew what one was, of black, this black glossy material, with the scales deeply indented and the eyes in such a place that the red of your eyes do show through just enough. But the interesting thing is it has a mane of kind of fabric strips that have almost like a diamond-shaped metal segment at the end that kind of gives them a bit of weight.
Dope. Yeah. Boss just walks up and with both hands takes the mask, gives her a bow, and says, "Thank you. The artistry is immaculate."
The one for Rakath is not the same.
No.
Rakath has a very particularly shaped head.
Yes.
And
Rise.
she said, I believe that while you might have wanted something to stay inconspicuous, I think fear is a tool that you wield, if I am correct.
You're not wrong.
There is concepts of combining sharpness and roughness. Your friend there has a mask that is incredibly rough. This has both. And the mask that she presents to you is almost cherubesque. It's almost like that sort of faceplate you'd see in like some kind of angelic guard. But there is, you know, subtle sharpness to sections and cloth straps to sort of drape down that kind of help. And the thing that makes it even more disturbing is that the features are distorted to fit to your head shape. But they do. But the trick of it makes it look like it's just a deliberate mask. Like that is deliberate to make it look quite curious. And even in like one of the things, they've actually designed horns to it's kind of angelish and devilish. And it's made of a pale bleached bone, fabric strips that drape down from some parts, and kind of a hood that could be pulled over with it as well, if you so wish.
Yeah,
and it can also it's also
back, you know,
totally movable and adjustable. The separate parts can move and twist in case you grow more lumpy or some such, or want it to look more humanoid or something.
Yeah,
it is adjustable, or some could say modular.
Yeah, all right, I'm into it. That's excellent. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, I'm just going to take mine, and I'm not going to put it on right now. I'm just going to kind of clasp it on to my belt so it's visible, but this is very much not something I plan on wearing when we're just walking around.
Rakath actually does put his on right away, just because it is going to be less conspicuous than his normal face.
Yeah.
So
people wear masks, you know.
Yeah.
You're already in cover. This might be really weird in other cities, but in Narashiro, people wear masks.
Mine is very much intended to be a battle mask. So, as we kind of go out, I'll just give her a deep bow, and I will say to her in deep speech, "You have my gratitude."
She will bow back, as is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now heading out, we have an incredibly vague description of where to go.
Well, in the north of the city. Can I do some kind of roll to determine if I know of a well in the north side of the city that would be appropriate for such a beast to... It's probably a nature roll.
Yeah, nature. That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Basically trying to determine where the best actual nesting place for a beast like that would be.
Yes.
Well, consistency tonight.
Yeah.
You definitely don't get a house moment of, huh! It's going to be there.
Leukemia.
But you do get, you do think on it. any kind of flying creature that's making a nest in a city. It would need to be somewhere that you can get a good source of food. So either near gardens or a place where food is being sold or cooked or stored, right? And kind of what she said, it would hide in the well, which would lead it to be quite a deep well. So you definitely narrow it down. So your searches will be much easier because you're like, it could be one of X places, and you're kind of looking for more specific things.
Okay.
So when one of you makes me a survival check to try and find your way through the city, or an investigation, whichever one you fancy.
I will gladly do an investigation roll.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. You did the
help.
nature check, and he can help give you advantage.
All right. Thank you very much.
Like,
Well, that's
Torum
much
looks
better.
like that
Very good, very good.
tactical thing of like, where can this bird hunt? Where can this bird hide?
Yes,
That's-
exactly, right. You head through and you find an area exactly kind of as you would describe. The wells in this city rarely go all the way down to the groundwater because that's just not really how it's possible. If they do, it's few and far between. This one does not. It goes down to a kind of pocket of water that is refilled every now and again. It's almost at a star-shaped junction between some tall buildings that are residential buildings up above, but the sort of ground floor are slightly open. It's kind of a bit of a food market. Kind of place that at night, or when there's less people about, a creature that was being stealthy would be able to snack up enough food. And especially considering Tanuma said that it would be intelligent. Sure, rats do this. But you figure this creature might be intelligent enough to sneak into warehouses and things in the area and snatch food. So you do find this place. There's this well pretty much in the center of this junction. As is common with a lot of the wells, it's a bit of a meeting spot. Unlike a lot of wells, it doesn't have... a lot of the wells here are kind of auto wells where it's kind of a fountain. You can dip. This is actually a bucket and pull well. A lot of folk have already, you could pay a copper and it's like, hey, we've already filled up a bucket of water for you, stuff like that in the area. The kind of time you get here is kind of after the peak hours in this time of day, so it's not completely quiet, but there's people poking around. And another thing that really is like, this is probably the place, is that this is an old well. It's a little overgrown. A little bit of plant life clinging to the sides. It's large, heavy, rough-hewn brick. Stuff like that. It's an old well that's been maintained for sentimental value and artistry and stuff like that, And any kind of beastie could live down there in the darkness.
Well, I think we have the place.
We should.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say we should lay a trap, unless anyone has other ideas. Going down there would be difficult.
Yeah. I agree. What we should do, if possible, is try to take it alive. If this is not possible, we need to make the kill as clean as possible.
All right. Well,
So, aim for the wings.
I'm just gonna start getting some rope ready.
I was going to do something as well. I'm going to dip one of my ball bearings into one of my flasks of oil with some pliers from my torturer's toolkit, and I'm going to light it ablaze with my tinderbox and just drop it down the well, just so I can see when it hits water, basically.
It appears to be around 60 feet down. There's a plop as it hits the water down below. You can all give me perception checks. You kind of look down or it goes down, see if you see anything.
It should still burn a little bit while it's in there?
It's
just
still
because-
burning to get a little bit of light, but
Yeah.
not properly. It would snuff out very quickly, which is why you really get those kind of checks. Yeah, I mean, what you definitely see aside from Torum is, it's wild down there. There's a lot of moss and lichen and fungus that's kind of grown out there. Probably not the safest water to drink, actually. So you figure a creature could live down there.
Okay.
Torum's actually going to attach his 50-foot rope to one of his bolts. It's an attempt to hook it.
Yeah.
What we can do before you shoot down there, something I totally forgot I had access to. I'm gonna cast dancing lights.
Oh, yes.
Kind of
Right, we
send
have a
the
drought.
lights. Yeah, right. And send the lights down the well to try to get a better look at where this
I wasn't
thing-
so much thinking of shooting it down. I don't think that'd be easy. But unless we can see it, if we can see it down the tube, then I might have a
You
shot.
can give me another perception check. Now you actually have a proper light source. That's more like it.
I did roll. It showed up. And they didn't do well because I turned around.
Light
and I was
hurts
talking
rise.
to-
Yeah.
talking to one of the guys who was out offering me a bucket.
Are you really
No, we're
interested
busy.
in that well there? We're selling water from the well here. Just a single copper. We'll fill your,
I will actually buy one of the buckets of water for a copper because the bucket is worth more than a copper.
You don't get the bucket. You get
I'm
the water.
keeping the bucket.
You have to buy the bucket.
How much is the bucket?
I have to get the player's guide out to find out how much a bucket is, but there is a cost.
I know there is a cost. It's probably a couple of silver.
Depends on how good the bucket is. You know what? We're looking it up.
I'm taking the
okay.
bucket. I need the bucket for what I'm using it for. So
Open up
on,
the
I-
snacks.
Bucket, 5 copper.
oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
1 copper was too much of a deal.
Yeah.
5
No, you
copper.
don't get the bucket for the copper. You just get the water.
All right.
In looking down there, kind of just zoning out, not listening to that, you can see that down there is actually, some of the old stone of it has fallen away into maybe a space between buildings, maybe a bit of cave, maybe kind of a little bit of both, because some of the buildings here are so old they've almost rehewn, back into stone. That looks like a large creature could live down there, and you actually see scraps of food as well, small bones, stuff like that.
Okay. I will, Rakath's kind of busy at the moment, but I will point all of this out to Torum. It's like there's definitely something living down there, but I don't think we should go down there.
Yes. I think that should be a last resort because that could have complications.
I do think we should try to lure it up here, perhaps with some food. Is there anywhere around here, like kind of like a butcher's shop that might be selling like
I was just about to
insect
suggest
meat
that,
or
yeah.
something?
Absolutely, yes. It's pretty expensive because meat is a premium in this city, but you absolutely can buy some, spend a silver or so on a hunk of bug meat.
Perfect. I'm gonna go do that. There.
So just while all this is happening, I'm mixing one of my flasks of oil with this bucket of water.
It's 3 silver for a
Ooh.
meat chunk,
Perfect.
as described in the book. Chunk.
A chunk.
A chunk.
So yeah, I'm gonna go over to a nearby butcher shop and just say, "Good day, sir. One of your finest chunks, please."
Yes, a chunk.
The
Absolutely.
standard measurement of meat.
You can get, like a big beetle leg,
Perfect.
all wrapped up,
Yeah. I'll absolutely take that.
tightly bound.
Push the 3 silver pieces over, and just kind of put it over my shoulder and bring it out to kind of. Are there still like people and stuff around?
It's
I was
not.
gonna say, we
It's
probably
not.
shoot them away.
It's not evening yet. You know, remember Narashiro kind of lives on, or Underdark lives on like two schedules, like two 12-hour schedules essentially.
About
It's not
how
quite
long till
evening,
like
it's late
that?
afternoon. In around 2-3 hours, it will get to when there's very few people about before the next lot of people wake up. It's kind of like
Okay, that's
an hour or
probably
two
what we
window.
put in our trap.
I'm just going to
Maybe when you
basically
think it would hunt.
start setting up. Like what I plan on doing is taking the beetle leg and then just kind of taking my knife and like cutting it open so it's exposed, getting the scent of fresh meat and stuff out there. I'm literally just gonna have my rope ready and just be sitting like 5 feet away from it, basically. And while I'm kind of getting this set up, I'm just gonna look at Torum and say, "Clear these people out of here. We don't want anyone in our way."
You'll see Rakath just sitting on the ground mixing something into this bucket.
Torum will start ushering people away. Like he will literally like walk over and say, "You need to leave."
Give me an intimidate check. Or persuasion, but really it's intimidate. Yeah. Like over going through, like you need to leave, you need to leave. Aside from shopkeepers and stuff who kind of figure out that you're doing something, you know. You actually clear the area out quite a bit earlier than normal. Leaving it really just the three of you. And the well, and my hiccups.
Perfect. I'm gonna just look over to Rakath, who is maniacally stirring whatever is in his bucket. And what are you doing right now?
Mixing oil and water. It doesn't mix well, but when you actually combine them like this, you can toss it, and the oil will seep into whatever it gets in front of. So, if the bird flies up, I can throw this on it, and it will soak the oil into its wings, therefore disabling its ability to fly. If I'm good enough of a shot, which, let's be realistic, probably not.
Very clever. Hopefully it won't come to that. What I propose we do, I will attempt to wrangle the beast. If I'm unsuccessful in doing so, by all means, throw your concoction onto it.
Yes.
And we will have to take it by force.
If it doesn't stop when I throw this on it, I would recommend lighting it ablaze, as it will have oil all over it.
Torum's actually going to pull out another bolt. He's going to hand it to you and say, "Can you put the? Can you use the glue to stick a cloth on the end of this and ignite it?"
Yes, indeed I can.
Or get ready to ignite.
Well, I'll leave the igniting to you when you're ready to shoot it.
I'll say 1 glue, 2 bolts.
I am only going to use half of the glue and do 1 bolt.
Yeah, 1 bolt.
Because I want to
Just
keep half
so you know. Yeah.
in case I want to do other shenanigans.
Just
That's
setting
fine.
the precedent.
So I'm gonna hold my shot with the rope bolt for if he misses,
Okay.
and then should that miss, I'm gonna load and the other bolt and fire.
So
If he hit.
basically, I guess just to set the scene, you guys are both kind of off to the side, like waiting to end.
I am going to be hidden as well. I'm going to try and stealth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I'm bad at it,
Like,
despite
try-
being a
you,
rogue.
you guys both might as well try to hide just to.
Yeah.
A, it might
I mean,
freak it
yeah.
out less if I'm able to actually animal handle this thing. But
Never mind. I'm good at stealth, apparently.
Awesome.
Those are good rolls.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah.
So you guys are both kind of hiding off to the side. I'm literally like just maybe 15 feet in front of the well, sitting there with this leg directly in front of me, just sitting on the ground. Something I would also do before this is take like 5 arrows and just kind of plant them in the ground. And I have my hand's basically on the rope ready. Like I would have it tied into like basically a lasso to try to wrangle it, and have my longbow ready in case we resort to that. But
So
Why
this-
don't
this is-
we take a real quick break
Yes.
before we go further in animal wrangling? Because this is your first rodeo.
Rip.